Hello there. Welcome to another Harley Carnes podcast, Harley on the Headlines. I want to thank you for joining in. Help me take a look at the news of the day. You know, this is a partnership. I do the cast. You tell other people that it's here. I really do appreciate it when you do. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and following. We start with a sad story. Jessie Jackson has died. The Reverend Jessie Jackson, civil rights leader, when equal opportunity was the goal. Now, I got to tell you, I knew Jessie Jackson, covered him when I was in Chicago, interviewed him many times. He actually asked me in a private conversation if I thought he should, meaning could he, win if he ran for president. He ran twice, lost twice. By the way, I told him I thought it would be an uphill battle. Jackson was one of the last of the great civil rights orators. He marched with Martin Luther King Jr. He was one of the few who could speak with the same soaring eloquence, and he was even better when it came to phrases that stuck in the minds of young black kids who looked out and up at a white world full of questions. Whereas King's speeches gave us "I Have a Dream" and immortal passages, I watched as Jessie Jackson taught young blacks to say, "I am somebody. I am somebody." He would say it in a number of different ways. And you could see in the eyes of those kids in schools, on playgrounds, that that simple aphorism of self-worth was landing with them. I am somebody. I watched him speak to a group of young black boys and men in a gymnasium on a basketball court. He said to them, "You will be great at what you do a lot of." And he also said, "We all are really good at what we do a lot of." These things I heard him say, I memorized. They became part of my own mantra with my kids and others. He asked them, "How many hours a week do you play basketball?" A couple hours a day, came back the answer. More on weekends. He told them, if they really want to be somebody in life, spend a couple hours each day preparing for that. Want to be a scientist or a doctor and change the world? Live in your books. Ask questions of your teachers instead of living under a basketball net. You dream of doing anything, do a lot of it. That's how you become good, maybe great at it. He told them that the corollary of "I am somebody" is what it is to be somebody. There's responsibility and good decisions that go with that. Jessie Jackson was special. I watched him tell young black girls that birth control is not about having abortion available on the next block. It's about saying no, and no to those insistent young men. Jessie Jackson was a flawed man. We, all of us men, are. But he was also a great man. He created Operation Push, which organized black workers not into labor unions, but into pressure groups and voting blocs that could and did walk into boardrooms of big corporations and say, "Do more for us or we will cost you on the store shelves." It was not a joke. Operation Push, at times, was powerful. He also said, "A rising tide lifts all boats," said it often. We all know what he meant by that. We grew up with it. So Jessie Jackson was a preacher, a great one. He taught his people that they must look in the mirror and see great possibility and a future of their own good decisions. At the same time, he was one of the architects of the movement that ultimately taught an entire race of people that they were victims of an oppressive system, and that even after laws were passed to equalize opportunity, the message continued. And the sad part of the civil rights movement is that it created an entitled class that was taught to believe that they would always live in victimhood. And the subtle message there was unavoidably that the white world was superior. That's not good. That's almost poisonous. What he failed to teach was actual brotherhood and an end to division. The movement cherished its division and sought to and did profit from it. So history will look at Martin Luther King Jr. and Jessie Jackson and Stokely Carmichael and Malcolm X and others of that pivotal generation as flawed but important leaders, inspiring people who put an end to the vestiges of slavery, but then didn't celebrate that. We have all learned that you cannot change another person's heart by stamping your feet in front of them or by yelling at them, and so on. I think we should re-energize the individual messages of possibility and potential that Jessie Jackson stood for and put an end to that dichotomy. I am somebody. A rising tide does lift all boats. And your success or failure in your life is in your hands. You're not a victim. Decide today to decide today. That line was mine, but you get the idea. Jessie Jackson is dead. Departed this plane peacefully at his home. He was 84, and I am proud to have known him. Another man died who carpeted our lives with cinematic greatness. Robert Duvall was 95. His works are among some of the best and most honored performances of the last, 7+ decades? I'm going to list some of our favorite movies with unforgettable Robert Duvall performances. It will be by no means an exhaustive list because I don't think he ever gave a forgettable performance. The Great Santini, The Apostle, Apocalypse Now, The Godfather 1 and 2, Tender Mercies, Joe Kidd, Lonesome Dove, The Judge, True Grit, The Road, Crazy Heart, Sling Blade, THX 1138. We were slow to come to that one. Rambling Rose, Days of Thunder, Breakout, True Confessions, Get Low, To Kill a Mockingbird, A Civil Action, MASH, the movie, and The Network. Now, that's a very partial list, and it's historic. Best of the bunch? I don't know. It's hard to say. If I had to pick just one, I guess it would be The Apostle. He wrote it, directed it, starred in it, and financed it out of his own pocket. He was nominated for an Oscar for it. Shattering performances, front to back. Maybe the smallest budget movie he ever made, and possibly his best work, The Apostle. If you haven't seen it, find it, watch it. I'd say, God, we're going to miss that man, and it's true, but he left us a tremendous body of great work. And though Robert Duvall was acting, don't we all feel as though we knew him? That's saying a lot. Robert Duvall was 95. Here's one of America's great dichotomies. There's that word again. We all know that ultra-processed foods are garbage for our bodies. We shouldn't touch them with long poles. Yet we eat them in huge amounts and become huge as a result. If there is anything that we need saving from, that's probably it. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said on CBS's 60 Minutes show, "We will act," said it this past Sunday. He said the FDA's terminology, generally recognized as safe, has got to go because it doesn't mean anything. It allows foods that are full of processed, refined carbs that we know are bad for our health in a number of ways, yet because they don't kill you quick by causing cancer or some other hellish thing, the FDA tells the food industry, go on ahead, sell it to the dummies who'll buy it. And we do. Color me dummy. I've eaten my share, even though I know better too. See? Here's part of the problem. There are thousands and thousands of ingredients put into our food that are not food. Illegal to consume in many countries. But in America, we gobble it up because it tastes good. We get fatter and less healthy, while the fitness industry becomes one of our most vibrant in a failing attempt to keep pace. Did you know, in all these years, the FDA still cannot define the meaning of the term ultra-processed food? They've never written down an actual definition. That's crazy. And Kennedy says that's got to change. And finally, at the end here, I can't believe this story's real, but it is. It's probably related to the junk food story. Flatulence, farts, Everybody, as in everybody, does it. The average is about 32 times every day. We are windbags. Some folks can crank out nearly twice that many and do. Sometimes we swallow some air that eventually has to escape. There's only one way out aside from burping. And when we eat, food's take an acid bath, and then it's attacked by happy germs in the gut, and there is gas, and it's got to go. And as we get older, we tend to do a bit more of it. I walked behind an old guy the other day in a grocery store who sounded like a little tuba. You can bet your butt it was funny, teenage funny. I and a couple of other people had to stop and let the guy pass, so to speak, to continue on his way. And he seemed not to even notice what was happening. It was funny. All of that nonsense is to get to this little bitty story. Researchers at the University of Maryland have invented smart underwear. No, it does not prevent anything. The underwear tracks how many times the wearer farts, and it measures it. Think of it as an electrochemical, hydrogen, and perhaps sulfurous monitor. As Flatus researcher, Assistant Professor Brantley Hall said, "We don't actually know what normal Flatus production looks like." I guess that's the scientific name for it. The project will develop a baseline for normal so we can know when someone's gas production is truly excessive, what they label a hydrogen hyperproducer. The end result of their report will be the human Flatus Atlas. Oh, well, I want to thank you for joining in today for Harley on the Headlines. And thanks for helping spread the good word that we are doing this together. I hope you'll like, follow, subscribe, and urge others to do the same. I am Harley Carnes, and we'll talk again soon. And in the meantime, I love to say this because it's true. Do me and yourself a favor, please. Be happy today. Make some good choices. And fly safe. It's the only way to get there.